Michael Carter was not a bad man. He was just busy. Busy building his financial consulting business in Ohio. Busy answering emails at midnight. Busy checking notifications during dinner. Busy telling his wife, "Each quarter will be easier." But next quarter never came. At 44 years old, Michael believed he had time. Until one night, everything shifted. It was a cold October evening. Michael was driving home after a long meeting when heavy rain forced him to slow down near an old roadside gas station. The place looked nearly abandoned. One flickering light. Empty parking lot. And then he saw him. An elderly man standing under the dim light, completely still, as if waiting. Michael didn't know why, but he pulled over. The old man approached calmly. His eyes weren't threatening. They were steady, certain. "You look exhausted," the old man said quietly. Michael forced a tired smile. A long week. The man studied him for a moment, then spoke words that made Michael's heart freeze. 6 months from today, at sunset, your life will end. Michael blinked. "I'm sorry. What? April 12th, the old man continued calmly. Prepare yourself." A gust of wind blew across the empty station. Michael looked away for a split second, and the old man was gone. No footsteps, no sound, nothing. Michael drove home in silence, his hands trembling on the steering wheel. That night, he couldn't sleep. April 12th, 6 months. The date echoed in his mind like a ticking clock. He told himself it was ridiculous. Stress, imagination. But what if it wasn't? For the first time in years, Michael felt something real. Not pressure, not deadlines. Mortality. The next morning, he looked at his wife, Rachel, differently. She was packing their son's lunch, slightly annoyed about something trivial. How many mornings had he ignored this ordinary miracle? He wrapped his arms around her unexpectedly. She laughed. "What's gotten into you?" "What's gotten into you?" "Nothing," he whispered. "I just don't." That day, Michael made a quiet decision. If he truly had 6 months left, he wouldn't waste them chasing numbers. He started with reconciliation. He called his father. A conversation he had avoided for years because of old disagreements about career choices. Disagreements about career choices. "Dad," Michael said slowly, "I've been stubborn." There was a long silence. Then his father replied softly, "I've missed you, son." Years of tension dissolved in minutes. Michael began leaving work early. He attended his son's basketball practice. He surprised his wife with a weekend road trip. He stopped checking his phone during dinner. He listened. Really listened. When his family spoke. One evening, Rachel looked at him carefully. "You're different," she said. "Different how?" "You're here." And for the first time, Michael realized how absent he had been. Months. Michael reduced his client load. He hired a junior partner instead of controlling everything. He took morning walks. He wrote letters to his family, just in case. But something strange happened. The more he prepared for death, the more alive he felt. As April approached, anxiety returned. The calendar felt heavier. Every sunset felt like a countdown. On April 11th, Michael sat alone on his porch, staring at the horizon. Tomorrow. He wasn't ready to leave. Not when life had finally become meaningful. For the first time in months, fear came back stronger than ever. What if it's true? He whispered. April 12th arrived clear and calm. Michael didn't go to work. He stayed home. He hugged Rachel longer than usual. He played basketball with his son in the driveway. At 6:30 p.m., as the sun began sinking, he gathered his family in the living room. "Let's just sit together," he said quietly. They watched the sky turn orange through the window. 6:52 p.m., 6:55 p.m., 6:59 p.m. His heart pounded violently. He waited for pain, for darkness, for something. 7:03 p.m. Phew. The sun disappeared below the horizon. He was still breathing, still alive. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Confused, Michael stepped outside alone, and then he saw him, across the street, the same old man, standing under a streetlight. Michael walked toward him slowly. "You were wrong," Michael said, voice shaking. The old man smiled gently. "I know," he replied. "You misunderstood." Michael frowned. "The man I met 6 months ago," the old man continued, the distracted, impatient, emotionally absent man, "he died today." Michael felt his chest tighten. "You were afraid of physical death," the old man said softly. But what you truly needed was transformation." The street grew silent. "You were not given a death sentence," the old man whispered. "You were given a deadline to wake up." Wake up. A car passed between them for a second, and when it cleared, the old man was gone. Michael stood there for a long time. Tears filled his eyes. He understood now. He hadn't escaped death. He had escaped a meaningless life. From that day forward, Michael never returned to who he was before. Not because he feared dying, but because he finally understood living. Moral: we don't need to know the date of our death to change our lives. But sometimes, imagining that we do is enough to wake us up.